This House now resumes its sitting. Good morning, everyone. We do apologize for the late start as we did have some technical difficulties. I call upon the Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Building Amendment Bill 2023 be read a second time, and I will now give the objects and reasons. Madam Speaker, the objective of the bill is to allow for the Building Ordinance Cap 234, Section 4.1, and any relevant legislation be amended so that all references to the Chief Engineer, the Public Works Department shall be replaced with the Chief Planner, Town and Country Planning Department. Madam Speaker, in 2018, Cabinet agreed that the Building Inspections Unit and Electrical Inspections Unit be removed from the Public Works Department and merged with Town and Country Planning Department to create a more effective mechanism for managing the territory's development oversight. Following the Cabinet's decision, the amalgamation of the units, namely Building Inspection Unit and Electrical Inspections Unit under Town and Country Planning Department, began operations in mid-2019 under the leadership of the Chief Planner. The Act, as formally written, established the Building Authority, but makes no reference to the Chief Planner or Town and Country Planning Department to execute functions for the Building Authority. Those powers were delegated to the Chief Engineer at the Public Works Department. As such, replacing all references to Chief Engineer with Chief Planner will allow the Chief Planner to effectively implement the mandates of the Act, thus ensuring the more effective functioning of Town and Country Planning Department. Madam Speaker, I so move.
Thank you. Honorable members, the floor is now open for debate. I call on the member for the 8th District, Honorable Marlon Penn. I call on the member for the 2nd District, Honorable Melvin Turnbull.
Madam Speaker, I'm standing to rise in support. I'm standing to rise in support of this bill. Yes, I stand to rise. Yeah. In support of this bill. Madam Speaker, it is short, but the short ones are usually sometimes what cause problems. Not problems, but a little bit of delay in terms of what we're doing. I have no issues, Madam Speaker, in terms of what the Premier just outlined and what is hoped to be achieved. My challenge, Madam Speaker, comes to where I've been in this house now going on 9 years, and for 8 of the 9 years that we've had a budget in standard finance process, we've noted where the Chief Planner in his office does not have support in terms of legislation to be able to execute certain things. And I'm speaking, Madam Speaker, in direct relation to where it comes to where buildings are being built and you have stop orders and you have warnings given, and outside of that there is nothing that can be done outside of those warnings because the legislation does not support the Chief Planner enforcing penalties or or anything of that matter. It would have to go through this long drawn out process where the courts have to be involved. And I believe there was only one instance over the last 10 or 15 years where the courts got involved and a building was demolished. So I was hoping that when we looked at this Building Amendment Act, that we would also include something in this legislation to give additional authority or powers to the chief planner and the bodies that he is responsible for, to be able to enact some of these things for the illegal activities and buildings that occur in this territory, and some of them end up being permanent. Because on one hand you have where persons stop and obey the law, and then the other hand, persons just continue, they operate the business, don't pay taxes, and then you're left with a society where it is either do what you want or comply with the law. So that's the only question I have, Madam Speaker, as to why it wasn't brought in there, because I know it's something that has been long-standing. I've heard of it for the last 8 years. I've even supported the chief planner in trying to provide whatever support necessary for him to execute his job efficiently and effectively. So outside of that, Madam Speaker, I'm hoping in committee that it can be done, because the amendment is already presented. But I think that is something that needs to be considered going forward. If we're going to make amendments, I think we need to start looking as holistically as possible, given all the historical information that has been presented, all the issues that have been noted by the planner, those of us in our communities that have issues surrounding the building authorities act, etc. So, Madam Speaker, I just lay that before this body, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I call on the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Ronnie Skelton.
Don't know. Madam, I raise no objection to this bill, but I know what happens. I have an idea what happens when we have bills like these and all the parts are not line up. Madam Speaker, there's no doubt this country needed a lot of one-stop shops in order for businesses to perform and get business done in an efficient and timely way. So joining these organizations together is a step in the right direction. So the bill just seeks to change wherever you see the chief engineer to the chief planner, and where you see Public Works Department to the Country Planning Department. Madam Speaker, but there still exist these three pieces of legislation and three bodies, so to speak. You have the electrical engineering unit, electrical inspection unit, you have the building authority unit, and then you have the town country planning unit. Is that what we're trying to do, to create a one-stop shop? And all of these things, there are fees attached to them. The fees still going to be in existence, where you pay separately to, and where do you go to pay these fees and stuff like that. So I think that if the AG is listening to me, it needs a holistic approach to bringing this stuff into, if it's a one-stop shop, to make it a one-stop shop. Because in spite of this, you're going to have individual department where they're trying to administer their own authority. If I am wrong, because in 2019, when this was talked about, It was to create a one-stop shop, a one-stop shop where you go, instead of going downtown to town and country planning, you get your plan approved, and then you got to carry it to public works to get it approved, and then you got to go to the inspection unit to get it approved. So this is what is intended to do. The intention is good, but somebody needs to look at the workings of it to see if it's really giving the intended results. Because I think if you talk to the business community who is trying to develop, you'll find out that they still have some problems where there are delays, unnecessary delays. And this country, this government needs the private sector to get moving in the construction field, because the construction field is what is where most of the employment happens. And after that, you know, the supermarkets make money, the apartment buildings, you could pay their rents and so forth and so on. So this is a critical section of authorization that is needed, and it needs to be done in an efficient way. So, Madam Speaker, I hope the Premier, who is responsible for all of this now, will, you know, get a group of people to look after this in a good way, because I'm sure if you go into the Building Act, the Minister of Communication is still responsible. I don't know if that was changed. It wasn't changed during our time, maybe just send it down the road. Okay? So, Madam Speaker, all I'm saying is that let us develop this department to be as efficient and a one-stop shop as we intended to be. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. Any other member wish to debate? I call on the Premier to wrap up.
Madam Speaker, thank you. What the Leader of the Opposition described there is exactly what it is we have been doing. We basically merged the Building Inspections Unit and Electrical Inspections Unit into the Town and Country Department. And it has been functioning as such, and I'd be very surprised if Town and Country didn't collect all the fees one time. I mean, but that's something I can double check, but I would be very surprised if that is not already the case. But this was perhaps the last part of that change, which we did, I believe, somewhere around 2019 or so, because this particular ordinance was still referencing the chief engineer as opposed to the chief planner. What the Leader of the Opposition said is exactly what it is we've sought to achieve in creating that one-stop shop for greater efficiency and greater oversight of the physical development of the Virgin Islands under the Town and Country Department and under the chief planner. So, Madam Speaker, we can look more closely at the bill just to make sure, as the Leader of the Opposition said, that there are not any areas that we're leaving out, and we're looking at it as comprehensively as possible so we don't have to end up back here again at another occasion. I also take note, Madam Speaker, what the member for the second said, and I would like to say I echo his sentiments. I'm very concerned about illegal developments. We've pledged to get these illegal developments cleaned up. Yeah, you would have heard the Permanent Secretary speak about that for the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change. Everybody who's doing illegal developments, we're going to have a no tolerance policy for that. And in order to do that, we have to strengthen our legislation. So, you know, this bill wouldn't be the bill to do it, but we're going to come back and we are going to get very serious because we want to beautify the Virgin Islands for the benefit of our residents and also our visitors. So, Madam Speaker, I thank the members for their support and looking forward to going through this bill in committee stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Buildings Amendment Bill 2023 be now read a second time. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. I call upon the clerk to read the bill a second time.
This act may be cited as the Buildings Amendment Bill 2023.
Thank you. Pursuant to Standing Order 55-1 of the House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands, the bill now stands committed to a committee of the whole House to consider it clause by clause. House is now in committee.